Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good day, good night, good everything. So, in this session, I'm going to talk about dating a man with children. Dating a man with children. And remember, for those of you who are not familiar with me, my background, I'm single and I do not have children. So I'm really talking, I probably should be talking to people who don't have kids. Like when you don't have kids, dating someone who does. And this is based on my own experiences, and it's perfectly okay if you don't agree with me. You have the right. We just don't need to get into a habit of disrespectfully disagreeing. Okay? So I have do's and don'ts. I have 10 do's and don'ts, and I actually wrote them down because you all know for the most part I just press record and go for it. But I have do's and don'ts because I wanted to make sure that I address certain points just based on my own personal experiences. Number one, do respect their relationship with their children. That is an absolute must. I had both of my parents. I always had access to both of my parents. So in my mind, children need to have access to both of their parents. So do respect their relationship with their children. But, here's the but. Don't allow them to use that as an excuse not to invest in your relationship. I think that's kind of where things can get a little derailed, because you want to respect their relationship with their children, but at the same time, you do need someone who understands that they also have to invest in their relationship with you. Otherwise, it's really no point in you being together. Or I should say, it's no point in you being with me. Number two, do show concern for their child, but don't overstep, because that is not your child. Now, people say you need to love that child as your own, but I don't really know about that. I don't know about that because my experiences are they want you to look out for them on the positive side. They want you to treat them like they're theirs, but since you're not really directly involved in any decision making, I don't really know if you can really say to treat that child like that child is yours. I think you need to respect the child. I think you need to treat that child like a child at all times. Like, I teach school. I love all of my students, but I can assure you that I love them differently than what their parents love them. And that's kind of how I look at it. So whenever I date men with children, I just look at their children like they were my students. I love my students, but I love them differently. And that's okay. You can't really we can't say you're supposed to love them the same as, because I can say, if we're honest, we have some people in our families that we love all of them, but we love them differently. And that's perfectly fine. Number 3. Do step back when necessary. Example, ladies. Your date night doesn't trump an emergency. If that child is up in the ER, I'm so sorry that you got your hair and nails done. But you do step back when it's necessary. But don't allow him to manipulate you into thinking you are wrong for wanting to spend time with him. That's manipulation. When they start trying to make you feel guilty for asking them, hey, we're going to hang out. We're going to do something this weekend. You said we was going to hang out last time and it didn't quite work. So, and I got my kids, I got to go see them. I don't want them. I didn't have my daddy. Don't let them manipulate you with that. So do step back when necessary, but don't allow him to manipulate you into thinking that you're wrong for wanting him to actually be in the relationship. Number 4, do be flexible. Be flexible. Children have needs, and one of those needs is to have access to their parents. But Don't allow him to create an unstable environment for you. If you date a man with children and they don't have, control of that situation, or I shouldn't say control of it, but as a grip on it, then they're going to have you all over the place. Trust me, I know. And it is very challenging to date someone when they've created an unstable environment for you. So be flexible, but don't be okay with them creating an unstable environment to remain. Number 5, do be respectful of the mother. Truthfully, it doesn't matter how they end it. It matters that they end it, because you don't need to be with him if he's still with her. But their relationship really isn't your business. So no, she can't be your enemy. You don't even know her. So it doesn't really matter what he says. Hopefully you're not dealing with somebody like I really don't have any interest on dealing with somebody who's bitter and is talking bad about his child's mother. I think that's very immature. But if he's still working through that hurt, or maybe the residue of it, you can't make somebody else's enemy. You shouldn't do that. So always be respectful of that child's mother. But don't allow them to use their child to disrespect you or your presence. Because that's the thing. Sometimes people will, and sometimes it's intentional, and sometimes it may not be intentional. But when you have just a total disregard for the fact that you have a third party, a third adult, and you start to treat them like you just gonna deal with whatever we tell you to deal with. No, I won't. Somebody else might, but I won't. So I'll respect the mother, because that's that child's mother, and that's another woman. We need to learn how to respect each other. But I'm not gonna let you use that child as a reason or an excuse for you to disrespect me. Number 6, do have compassion for the situation. Everybody will need to make adjustments. Everybody will need to make adjustments, including you. But don't be no fool. Why? Because everybody needs to make adjustments, including you. What I find to be what doesn't work for me is if you think that my life is just supposed to my life is the only one that has to change. No, because anytime you start merging things together or blending things together, all that is blended will need to change. So that's another issue that I have. I'm not keen on me being the only one making adjustments, because really that's not really an adjustment. You're really telling me to get in the situation with you and deal with it however you want me to deal with it. And because I'm grown and I'm an adult and I have like real feelings and real emotions and a real perspective of things, you don't get to invite me into your relationship to erase me, to make me become like a third you, or a second you, or something. So, no, everybody needs to make adjustments. Include Lil Johnny, because Lil Johnny needs to know that if nothing else, he needs to respect you as an adult. Because I told you all, I teach school. My adjustment is that I'm very comfortable telling people's children what to do. I've been telling people's children what to do for a long time. It's second nature to me. So my adjustment is, because I know I have to maneuver this situation carefully, I have to step back and say, okay, be careful. Don't say nothing. Now, if you're in my house, I don't care who your mama is or who your daddy is. If you in my house, my rules. I pay the mortgage up in this joint. Okay, number 7. Do listen more than you speak. Because whether or not we like it, there's a window of time that you really are the outsider. So listen a lot more than you speak. But don't. If the person you are with is serious about pursuing you, don't allow them to keep you as the outsider. That won't even work. I know it won't work, because unless you're okay living totally separate lives, then you do that. But I don't want that. I see that's a roommate to me. I'm not looking for a roommate. Okay? So don't allow them to keep you, you sit right here and I'll let you know when I have a little bit of time for you. No, you don't get to know what's going on with me. You don't need to know what's going on in this situation. But then they want to know all your stuff. Or not. Sometimes they don't want to know your stuff because they don't want you knowing theirs. And you really need to go then. I had to. Because I think I said this in another video. As far as my relationship, if I can't be in your life, you can't be in mine. This ain't hard. Number 8. Do know that their children should be their number one priority. We know that. Don't let that mean that your relationship is not a close second. Like, I don't mind being last. I do mind knowing it. And the way that you know it is when they don't make you or your relationship a priority. Number 9. Do consider the parents' resources. Consider the dad's resources. Be mindful of that, because children still have needs. And I know sometimes, a lot of them hopefully are paying child support. And I know people say, child support is supposed to cover everything. I don't even have kids, and I know unless you're just giving them a NFL lump sum, that likely is not true. For the average person who's going to work paying child support, your support is not covering everything. So, with that said, if there are times that child might need something else outside of regular support, so be it. I'm not going to step in and say, well, if he needs his medicine, well, you don't need to be giving her no more money because you already paid her child. No. We got to be grown at some point. And even if the mother is irresponsible, I had a situation where I had somebody stand with me and the dad wasn't all that. Well, the dad of the little girl wasn't all that responsible. You still got to, you can't, well, the mom wasn't either sometimes, y'all, if I'm honest. But, people do the best they can. And if that is true and the mom's not doing what the mom's supposed to be doing, you just need to pray about that situation and at least allow the responsible parent to do his duties. So consider the resources, but don't buy the child. I'm not buying nobody's kid. Now, I will buy things, but it definitely won't be anything like a bribe. I've bought gifts before, but it's because I wanted them to have it, not because I wanted them to like me. Because we must all remember, I teach school, and I'm just not walking around trying to get children to like me. It usually happens just because of my personality, but I'm not about to buy no kid. No. You're not about to be, no. I almost said something wrong. And since I don't know how to edit yet, I'm going to keep that part to myself, even though I really want to say it. And lastly, do be open about what you want. And be willing to adjust yourself if they are unwilling to adjust for you. Hello, let me say that again. Do be open about what you want. So communicate. I do believe in communication. I used to think that people were supposed to read my mind or my body language, but that didn't work. So the older I get, I just say, hey, I'm really not okay with this. I'm uncomfortable with this, or Okay, you try not to, blah, 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 whatever it is. And when they don't, sometimes you got to make the adjustment. Sometimes the adjustment is that you adjusting you. So if they've created an environment and their behavior shows you that they're not considering you and how their environment and their situation is affecting you, really the only thing that you have control of is whether or not you stay. So sometimes that adjustment means you adjust yourself. Like, I know how to adjust myself. I need to have a training called Adjustment 101. I can teach y'all how to adjust yourself. That doesn't mean, you won't feel bad about having to do it, but some adjustments are necessary. Ask your chiropractor. And last one. This is really, the don't of this one is this. Don't let one bad apple spoil the bunch. Okay. I'll be honest. Right now, because my last 3 relationships with fathers have been significantly worse than the one before it. So, to tell the truth, I'm like, I ain't dating nobody else daddy. No, I'm not dating nobody else daddy. But I'm not reminding myself. My best friend is actually giving me all these scenarios. Well, what if this and what if that? And I'll say, I don't feel positive about it right now. But if the good Lord sends me somebody who can juggle our relationship, like our marriage and his kids, and not drop me or them in the process, then yeah, I'll be down for it. But if you think you just gonna be throwing me to the side and picking me back up when you want to, you need to stay where you are. But I keep having to tell myself, because right now I'm saying, as soon as I find like you got a kid, oh, he's cute. Oh, she's adorable. What grade is she in? Oh, I love her hair. Oh, she's a gorgeous. Ooh, look at that little handsome joker. And in my mind, I'm like, child, I don't care how much money you got. I don't care what you driving. I don't care if your house got a house behind it. I don't care if your last name formerly known as something. I don't want yet. But that could change. So I gotta be careful. I'm not gonna say never, because I don't want to fast forward 6 months from now, you all see me in a wedding picture with Lil John and Lil Timmy standing in the wedding picture, because I ain't had them. So that means I ended up with somebody with kids, right? So we'll see what the Lord gonna do. But whoever he is, he better come right. Thank you all so much for watching, and these are my do's and don'ts for dating somebody who has children. Bye.